Hey everybody. So if you saw my video on Deepin OS, you probably saw that it didn't go too well. So I flipped the script and I'm now using Manjaro. So let's take a look at that. So here I am at my desktop on Manjaro Linux, which I've been running with for a few days. And I have used Manjaro before. I think it was probably a couple of years ago. I don't remember which desktop I had then, but this is Cinnamon. And it's actually, I know it doesn't look like Cinnamon, but all I did was basically move this bottom panel to the top and then add a second panel as a sort of a dock down at the bottom here. The only other thing I changed was the icon pack, which is Tello, I believe, which is the rounded one, just I kind of like. So Manjaro is Arch-based, and it's sort of like a prepackaged Arch. It has stuff in it, which, can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you're looking for. I would say it's fairly user-friendly. There are some issues with updates that I've read about. I haven't really experienced them, but I'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. It sort of goes with the Manjaro update cycle and versus the Arch update cycle. Manjaro tends to be a little bit more conservative, but is still considered a rolling release distro. Anyway, it's available for workstations and laptops, obviously, for phones and embedded, for devices. These are other devices. I don't know what these are, but some kind of proprietary thing, I guess. Manjaro is free and open source. And let's see here. Install media. Let's see. These are the versions you can get. KDE Plasma, XFCE, and GNOME are the main ones. There might have been GNOME I had the last time. I don't really remember. The community images are Cinnamon, which I'm using now, i3, and Sway. So a reasonable selection of choices there. This is running. It was actually when I got it, and after I'd updated it, was running kernel 6.13 something. I did update the kernel just because I do stuff like that. And it's easy to do. They have a kernel manager, which I'll show you in a second. It is running version 6.4 of Cinnamon, which I guess is a current version. I don't really know. It's using X11 instead of Wayland. I don't think Cinnamon runs on Wayland yet. I'm not 100% sure. And you can see the themes and stuff I chose here. It's using about 2 gigs. I do have, obviously, OBS running, so. So if we go to system settings and go down a little bit here to, I believe it's Manjaro Settings Manager, you can see here, you can take a look at the kernel, and you can, manage your kernels from here. I chose this one, 6.15. That's what we're using now. No issues. I've been running Manjaro for 2 or 3 days, but the new kernel since this morning, and no issues yet that I've noticed. The other thing I did notice is it was kind of weird was I couldn't get touch gestures to work at first. Then I realized there was an actual gestures app here, and it was actually disabled when I started. It was actually disabled like that, so I had to enable it. And then I noticed these settings, it wasn't working. It was working on my touch screen, strangely enough, on my laptop, but not from the touchpad. So I noticed that you had to change these on the settings here. You notice on these ones for the 2 fingers, it's got trigger, gesture, end. That was a default for all of these. So I had to change them all to trigger gesture start here. And now it works as I would sort of expect it to work. You can do the swipes to get the desktops. Let me open a different desktop here just to show you. Let me open File Manager and that. So if you do, this is the main desktop. You can do 3-finger swipe to go back. 3-finger swipe again. And pull down, you see your expose type thing, so you can see all the running programs. That's nice. I like that. But you do have to enable that. The other things I did, I installed Brave Browser. I installed OnlyOffice because I kind of like the UI better on OnlyOffice as opposed to LibreOffice, which did come installed. There is a firewall built in, which it was not turned on, but I did turn it on. And it uses uncomplicated firewall, which I like, because I've always hated fiddling around with firewalls. I get confused easily, and it becomes a nightmare, so I like that. You just basically turn it on. So that's good. As far as running things, no issues yet. Like I said, I've been running 2 or 3 days. I've got my usual Audacity and Kdenlive stuff like that I use for producing these videos. I've got them all working. The wallpaper is just one I happen to have. The default wallpapers are decent. Let's see. And it's the cinnamon wallpaper. It's kind of muted. Not horrible. That's a cute one. Some GNOME wallpapers. And the ones I have just collected over the years. A decent selection. And I do tend to like simple backgrounds, like this, just to avoid clutter. But it's using cinnamon, as I said. I like cinnamon. It seems to be a little lighter, I think, than GNOME. And it has similar functionality. You have extensions and things like you do in GNOME. Also does show you running programs, which I like. I've mentioned that before, I think. I don't like the default GNOME behaviors. It does not show you like background programs like this pCloud, and there's OBS running there. So I like that. All in all, pretty pleased with it. Let's go over a little bit of the talk about the release cycle and that kinds of thing, and we'll wind this up. So some of the sort of criticisms of Manjaro, there were a few, but these are, I think, probably the main ones. The delayed package updates. Manjaro holds back packages from Arch Linux repos for about 2 weeks to test their stability. That means Manjaro users get updates later than Arch users, potentially missing out on latest features or security updates, which if you are using the AUR a lot, the same delays can lead to dependency mismatches and causing software to fail or things to break. There's been some community and developer criticism that Manjaro is unresponsive or just, not helpful. There's also been weird things like their website certificates, expiring and nobody fixed them, and this happened, I guess, a couple of times, which kind of makes you think what's going on there. How well organized is this outfit? Some people say Manjaro is bloated, or compared to Arch is a stripped down, minimal that you build yourself. This Manjaro is meant to be, have prepackaged things in it to make it easier for you to run an Arch distro right off the bat. So I don't know that that's necessarily a valid criticism. I mean, if you want stripped down Arch, just use Arch. Again, it's not, they kind of target it sell it as a user-friendly for beginners, but being a rolling release, and I don't know that that's necessarily true. I found it straightforward enough to use. I'm fairly experienced. I mean, I've been using Linux for, 7, 8 years now on the desktop. I wouldn't consider myself an expert by any means. I'm not, making packages and compiling things and doing stuff like that, editing conf files and all that sort of stuff. I don't do that much. But I'm more than a casual user. I think a casual user might run into some issues, but, But that aside, on the good side, I mean, it is a user-friendly installer. It's got pre-configured desktop environments, and it looks, and it's got tools like PAMAC for easy package management stuff. So, and as I've been using it for these few days now, it's been great. I haven't had any issues with it really at all. I've run a few updates. Nothing's gone amiss so far. I'm not using a whole bunch of software, like I said before. Basically, things like OBS Studio, Kdenlive, Krita for graphics, and Audacity for audio, and just my Brave browser. That's pretty much what I've been using. And that's pretty much what I always use of the distros I work with. So it's been fine. I have not had any issues yet. I'm quite happy with it. Now, of course, whether I stay with it or not is remains to be seen, because I'm notoriously bad for jumping around on distros. But this is fine. I like it. Like I said, I did use it before. It was fine before. So Manjaro's okay. So that's another video in the can. If you found this informative or interesting, please consider liking and subscribing down below. And remember, be excellent to each other.